single time. Trump always chickens out. He's not a deal maker. He's not a negotiator. He's a taco.
The luxurious mega jet Trump accepted from an Islamic dictator allied with Iran wasn't just a gift. It's a sign, a for sale sign.
You voted to cut the price of eggs, not for a $50,000 bill your family can't pay. You voted to cut the price of gas, not to have mom or dad thrown out of nursing home care.
What a person learns to do as a child just to survive doesn't always serve them well later in life. In fact, those early coping mechanisms can turn into glaring weaknesses as adulthood, and especially leadership, sets in. In Donald Trump's case, his obsession with always being the winner didn't just become a trait. It turned into a flaw so obvious that even casual observers could see it. He didn't just want to win. He had to completely dominate, to crush any hint that someone else might be better, stronger, or more admired. And when he failed to do that, when reality didn't conform to his inflated image, his emotional response was often explosive, erratic, and deeply revealing. Take, for example, the moment he dismissed Senator John McCain, a decorated war hero, as not a hero, simply because he had been captured during the Vietnam War. In Trump's world, even becoming a prisoner of war amounted to failure. That's how deeply this aversion to weakness runs. There was also the now infamous incident where Trump allegedly referred to fallen American soldiers as losers and suckers. He denied it, of course, but in a way that was more frantic than convincing, almost like someone swatting at invisible bees.
Same trade every time. It's the taco trade, because Trump always chickens out. He talks a big game on tariffs, then backs down, over and over.
It's not just corrupt, it's oligarchy. It's our entire system twisted to make the Trump family rich. You get higher prices, he gets rich. The bad guys get whatever they want.
The MAGA murder budget is going to kill people. Millions will lose care they can't afford any other way. People with diabetes, kidney disease, cancer, Alzheimer's.
The report resonated so strongly with what the public already sensed about him that it stuck around in the headlines for days. Just the suggestion of being connected to any kind of loss or failure seemed to destabilize him. This hypersensitivity, this emotional glass jaw, makes Trump particularly easy to provoke, and few understand how to exploit that better than the Lincoln Project. The group, comprised of ex-Republican strategists turned anti-Trump campaigners, has mastered the art of psychological warfare. They don't get tangled in lengthy policy debates or procedural technicalities. Their approach is blunt, focused, and cutting. They paint Trump as weak, as someone who is failing, and, most painfully, as a loser. That word alone seems to set off alarms in his mind. It's not just a childish insult. It's an existential threat to the entire persona he spent decades constructing. Political psychologists have noted that figures like Trump, leaders whose public image is entirely built around dominance and strength, respond especially poorly when that image is attacked. When someone punctures their carefully inflated self-image, it doesn't just bother them, it exposes them. One expert called it being psychologically naked. For Trump, it's as if his golden armor has been stripped away right in the middle of battle, and he's left without the tools to emotionally protect himself. The Lincoln Project has made this concept of psychological vulnerability into a potent weapon. They don't merely criticize, they mock. They laugh at him. They zero in on the contradictions, the insecurities, and the gaping holes in his narrative. Their videos are like precision-guided arrows aimed directly at Trump's ego. They take moments that might otherwise fade into the political noise and repackage them into sharp, meme-like messages that resonate and sting. And the best part, from their perspective? Trump can't ignore them. He can't let it go. He doesn't brush it off or laugh it off. Instead, he reacts, loudly and repeatedly. He takes the bait every single time. He rants about them on Truth Social, giving their content more exposure, more relevance, and a wider reach than they might have gotten otherwise. In a strange twist, Trump ends up being their best promoter. His furious responses become confirmation that the Lincoln Project's message hit exactly the right nerve. They've done this repeatedly. Consider the time they called him Bunker Baby in a viral ad mocking his retreat to a secure White House bunker during the George Floyd protests. The nickname stuck because it struck at his self-image, his portrayal of himself as tough and unflappable. Their ads aren't just criticism. They're mockery designed to inflict maximum psychological discomfort. And the brilliance lies in how they recycle his own behavior to expose his fragility. They don't invent anything. They just reflect it with sharper edges and wider visibility. Their strategy has become something like a psychological loop. They trigger Trump. Trump reacts. His reaction spreads the Lincoln Project's message. The public sees both the original insult and his inability to ignore it. And once he's gone on the offensive, the narrative is already out of his hands. By the time he's ranting online, the damage is done. The moment is captured, magnified, and immortalized. It's not a new tactic to use a person's weaknesses against them, but rarely has it been done so effectively and so consistently.
The Lincoln Project understands that Trump's most dangerous enemy isn't the Democrats, the media, or even the legal system. It's his own inability to let go, his compulsive need to win every encounter, and his allergic reaction to appearing weak. That's where the word loser becomes their nuclear button. It's their not-so-secret weapon, and it works with uncanny reliability. And it doesn't end there. Their latest ad escalates the approach even further. It doesn't just jab at Trump, it delivers a full-blown comedic assault. With sharp writing, sarcastic narration, and visuals that hit below the belt, the ad was engineered to provoke a meltdown. And predictably, that's exactly what happened. Within hours of its release, Trump was furiously posting on Truth Social, once again handing the Lincoln Project more visibility and proving, once more, that he can't help but play directly into their hands. This cycle is now familiar: provocation, reaction, amplification. It's not just about making Trump look bad, it's about exposing his inability to control his own impulses. And when the ads go viral and the media piles on, Trump can't stop himself from diving headfirst into the trap. At that point, the Lincoln Project doesn't have to say anything else. Trump does the rest. So, in the end, what makes the Lincoln Project's strategy so successful isn't just their creativity or their political experience. It's their deep understanding of Trump's psyche. They know that for all his bluster and bravado, he remains emotionally fragile, thin-skinned, and obsessed with perception. And they exploit it ruthlessly, turning his greatest fear into a recurring punchline, played over and over for millions to see. And each time he tries to shut it down, he just adds more fuel to the fire. The result? A political adversary who is not only publicly mocked, but repeatedly destabilized by the very thing he claims to embody: strength.
The Lincoln Project has made it abundantly clear. Trump isn't losing because of his enemies. He's losing because of himself.
So, what exactly about this ad made Trump so furious? Picture a rapid-fire montage of his most embarrassing failures playing back-to-back, each clip more awkward than the last. There's the infamous moment when he awkwardly shuffled down a ramp like a toddler trying on shoes for the first time. Then come the lowlights of his business disasters like Trump Steaks and Trump University, proof that many of his so-called successes were really overhyped and underwhelming. The kicker? The whole ad is set to a cheerful, almost mocking tone that makes it feel like a sketch comedy bit rather than a serious political attack. It's a roast disguised as a campaign ad with the stinging punchline repeated again and again. You lose. And make no mistake, calling him a loser isn't random. It's a surgical strike designed to target the one word Trump loathes most. Hearing it once might get under his skin. Hearing it looped over embarrassing clips, that's psychological torture by repetition. The Lincoln Project knows Trump inside and out, arguably better than Trump understands himself, and they use that insight with ruthless precision. Timing also played a huge role. This ad didn't drop in a vacuum. It was released when Trump was already under immense pressure, facing mounting legal issues, criminal charges, civil lawsuits, and tanking approval ratings. He was vulnerable, and they struck while he was flailing. Imagine someone already trapped in a corner, and then someone grabs a megaphone and shouts, "Look at this loser!" It wasn't just a jab, it was a perfectly timed humiliation. Naturally, Trump didn't take it quietly. Within hours, he was blasting away on Truth Social, hurling insults, lashing out, and trying to discredit the Lincoln Project. He insisted they didn't matter, but ironically, his rage gave them exactly what they wanted: